On this edition of Veterans Health Watch, we'll take a look inside our voluntary service program and explore how individuals and groups from the community support veterans with their time and donation. Please join us. Welcome to Veterans Health Watch, a program sponsored by the Veterans Affairs Maryland healthcare system that provides the latest health and benefits information for Maryland's veterans, their family members, and the local community. I'm Kenya Griffin. Each year, we'd like to devote at least one episode of the show to voluntary services. The volunteers at the VA Maryland healthcare system play a crucial role in helping the VA to accomplish its mission to serve our nation's veterans. And joining us to give us more information is Susan Kern, the program manager for voluntary services, and Annette Mann, a volunteer driver and program coordinator for the volunteer transportation program for the VA Maryland healthcare system, actually at the Loch Raven VA outpatient clinic site.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Susan, I've heard you say yourself, there are plenty of organizations out there where people can volunteer. What sets apart the VA Maryland healthcare system? Why should people volunteer there? Or why do they volunteer there?
Well, personally, I think it's because we have a wonderful volunteer program. I think it's very enjoyable for the volunteers. But, you know, honestly, when people select a place to volunteer, usually it's because of the cause, the mission, whatever the organization is about. And for us, we're about veterans. So we're a great place for people that want to show their pride in the United States of America, people that want to give back to those who have served in our armed forces. So we're a natural for people that want to show their patriotism.
And what are the requirements for volunteering? Who can volunteer?
Well, we do have age requirements. We have a youth volunteer program. They're 14 through 17-year-olds or getting out of high school. And then, you know, we have no other age requirement other than that. As an adult, 18 to, golly jeepers, we have people in the 90s that volunteer for us and do a great job. So that's the requirement or age. There are requirements that people have to pass, in other words, background checks that we do on all new prospective volunteers. But, you know, mainly we're looking for people that have a positive attitude and want to give back to others. So,
absolutely. And can you tell us more about the youth volunteer program?
I can. We have a formal summer youth volunteer program, and with that, our youth volunteer predominantly the months of June, July, and August. We do have a 75-hour minimum requirement during that time frame, and it's a pretty structured type of a program. But we also have opportunities for youth that want to volunteer during the school year at several of our facilities, specifically our Loch Raven Community Living Center, as well as our Perry Point facility. Those are two places that are set up that we can have youth volunteer. Youth have to follow the same guidelines as every adult volunteer does. You know, with uniforms they have to adhere to, and a regular schedule. They have to go through training programs and that sort of thing. But we welcome youth.
It's great to see the youth come back year after year too for the program. And I've heard some people express interest in wanting to give back to veterans, but they're not too sure about working in a hospital. Could you tell us about some of the other opportunities to give back to veterans within the healthcare system?
So, clearly we are healthcare systems. So getting around, being around patients is probably not gonna happen totally within our healthcare system. We do have opportunities to volunteer at some of our community-based outpatient centers, which would not be a hospital setting, but you're still going to be around patients in a doctor's office type of atmosphere. Within the VA, though, we have a couple other opportunities that are not Veterans Health Administration focused, and that would be we do have volunteers that can sign up to volunteer at the for the Veterans Cemetery Administration, and locally that would be our Baltimore National VA Cemetery. We also utilize volunteers within our vet centers. Vet centers are much more geared to counseling and that sort of stuff. So that would be a little different type of an environment to volunteer in as well.
And then, of course, we have Miss Annette Mann here, who is a volunteer driver with the Volunteer Transportation Program at the Lock Raven facility. So can you tell us about your day, coordinating? You say you schedule
Correct.
patients to use the system. Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, my day starts out is coming in, pulling out the book, doing our routine check around the car, make sure everything is operational. And we have a schedule already set for the week and tell me how many people I'm going to be picking up that day. I'll call them as I get ready to go out, start my day, let them know I'm on my way to pick them up. And it usually lasts from anywhere from 3 hours to no more than 6 hours per day.
And these veterans, they have scheduled clinic appointments, and they work with your office to schedule transportation services?
Yes, correct. What they do is usually give us a call 3 to 5 business days prior to their appointment, and they'll call us in, leave a message on the answering service, letting us know the date, the time, and the last 4 of their social. And we will call them back, pull it up in the system, and confirm that it's in the system, and then call them back and let them know that we can do it or not.
That's a great service.
Yes.
So what are the criteria for a veteran to get a ride with this program, and who's eligible?
Most veterans are eligible, even if they haven't did their CP appointment. As long as they're in the system and it's scheduled in our system that the individual's name, then we'll be able to take them to and from that appointment.
And we're talking about VA clinic appointments, and in the
Correct.
system, meaning a veteran who's enrolled in the VA healthcare has a scheduled clinic appointment.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
We do make a priority, though, for kind of a need type of a situation. And that definitely said about people that need rides and that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of veteran transportation out there within the veteran transportation network, and the volunteer transportation program is like one piece of that.
Correct.
And we really do kind of sort of try to concentrate on those people that don't have any other kinds of means of transportation.
Or the senior ones that can't drive anymore.
Gotcha.
And so most people, they can come to and from. Certain things happen, situation where they don't have the car, then yes, we'll come pick you up. But if you have a car, majority of them usually drive in.
So this is for people who really have a need for
Transportation.
transportation.
Yes,
A
definitely.
need for transportation
Right.
service. And we talked about your day a little bit, but as a driver, can you give us an idea of a shift for you as a volunteer driver?
Well, it starts, our day starts at 8:30, and I come in, call the person, let them know I'm on my way in to pick them up. And, on our ride in, we having a little conversation. And me being a veteran myself, it's just so enlightening to talk to another veteran, and we're on the same page. And, and they're so grateful for the volunteer service. It's not a paid service, it's volunteer. So all the drivers that comes, they're volunteer to assist us.
We hear that often, the camaraderie that
Yes.
veterans appreciate, just talking to another veteran.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
And they are so happy. It's just overwhelming to see the seniors veterans, and they talk about their history and where they've been and so forth. So I love it.
So that's a great lead into my next question. What do you like most about honoring veterans this way?
The point is that they appreciate the volunteer part of the DAV drivers that's coming in to assist them, and they are veterans, and they just overwhelmed with it. They just blow you out the water.
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem like a job. It's just a hangout type of atmosphere.
And you mentioned DAV, and I know DAV, Disabled American Veterans. What is their contribution to this program?
Well, our Department of Maryland Disabled American Veterans are an extremely generous organization, and probably in the past 7 to 9 years, they have donated over 9 vehicles to the VA Maryland healthcare system. So in other words, they're purchasing those vehicles, they're donating them to the VA for the purpose of this volunteer transportation program. So they're extremely generous. In some areas throughout the country, the Disabled American Veteran Department in that state is able to actually pay a coordinator to coordinate the transportation program. In Maryland, we do not do that, and all of our transportation coordinators are volunteers.
Okay. So let's talk about the expenses of the program a little bit more, because this is a volunteer program. We know the vehicles are provided, but tell us more about the other expenses and how they're covered for this program.
Well, I guess the easiest thing to say is that because these vehicles donated by the Disabled American Veterans now are property of the VA, everything is covered by the Department of Veterans Affairs. So you're driving a government vehicle, the gasoline, the insurance, all that kind of stuff is taken care of through the VA. So an individual that wants to be a driver, as long as they have a valid license, they meet some health requirements, and they are insurable, then, it really doesn't cost you anything. And we even give you a lunch ticket.
Oh.
A lunch ticket, and also a stipend for a gas card monthly for your volunteers. So, they show their appreciation that way by giving them a gas card, a $25 gas card for the month.
And that is, again, courtesy of the Disabled American Veterans. They give the volunteers that.
It's a great program. Are there any safety concerns on your end?
Well, we talked a little bit about the criteria to be to be able to be part of the program, and so I would say that basically, because we're looking for self-sufficient, or we can really only take care of veterans in this program that are pretty self-sufficient. We don't have to worry about our volunteers lifting or tugging or pulling or any of that kind of stuff. Those types of individuals would qualify under a different transportation program.
So if people are looking to, if there's someone's interested in volunteering as a driver for this program, how could they contact you, or what should they do to get more information?
Well, they can contact any of our volunteer offices. They can contact me directly, and I'll steer them in the right direction.
Sounds good. Thank you, Susan and Annette, for joining us. We're going to take a short break, but Susan will return to give us more information about the voluntary service program, so please stay tuned.
Volunteering is an opportunity to show your patriotism.
Most importantly, it's a good feeling knowing that you're helping those who have already served.
And it's always an honor and a privilege to me to be there, because I know that I get to help the men and the women who have served us.
So if you're interested in volunteering with us, best thing is to get in contact with us through our webpage, or you can also call us.
It really, really gives me an opportunity to give back, make a difference.
Welcome back to Veterans Health Watch. Before the break, we were talking with Susan Kern, the Program Manager for Voluntary Services, about the Volunteer Transportation Network and the need for more drivers. And Susan, I understand that's not the only area in your service where you have a need for volunteers. Where else do you need volunteers?
Oh gosh. Well, first off, we probably have 50 different types of volunteer positions that people can sign up to do. But as far as our really needs are concerned, we really try to place individuals in positions where they are working directly with and around our veterans. And a good example of one that we can always use assistance with is in our greeter program, and it's just as simple as it sounds. You know, these are individuals that are either at the front doors of our buildings, or they're in waiting areas or whatever, and they greet individuals that come in, try to make them feel welcome, and, you know, thanks for being here, thanks for choosing us, type of a volunteer position. So that's a really good one, and we do always need people, and we need them throughout all of our facilities. Another great example is that we have a very active community outreach type of a program. And the volunteers that sign up for that type of a position are literally assigned a specific veteran that lives in the community. And once a week, they go out for a couple hours, and it's like a buddy program, you know. They go in to talk with the individual and make them feel a little better for their day. That's another need type of a position. Another area that we utilize volunteer support at is some of our information desks, and similar but not exactly like the greeter. The information desk people actually, you know, answer phones, give out information to people that are coming, and wayfinding and that sort of thing. So those are a few of our real needs, but I can't stress enough what I said before about, you know, our transportation program, the volunteer transportation program, is a huge need at all of our locations.
Yeah. It really services the veterans to help those veterans who don't have a vehicle or don't have a way to get to their doctor's appointments. What better way than to have a volunteer help them get to their appointments? And we talked about time, people donating volunteering their time to help, but I'm sure monetary donations are a big help for the VA Maryland healthcare system too. Could you tell us more about your donation program?
Sure. Well, we are always grateful for whatever, be it in-kind donations or monetary donations that people are thinking about making towards the VA Maryland healthcare system. A little bit about monetary donations, though. Individuals can make a donation, and we have a lot of funds where money is earmarked specifically for a purpose. For example, you know, it doesn't take much to read in the newspaper that one of the very big causes within the VA is to eliminate homelessness. And so we have a fund that's specifically for use to assist with homeless veterans. And when someone makes a monetary donation, they can say to us, well, I would like my money to go to women's veterans, or I would like my money to go to the homeless veteran program, or I would like my money to go to the recreation types of programs that are done within the facilities to assist and help veterans to have a nice stay while they're here with us. I think a unique and good thing to mention here is that with us, though, 100% of your donation goes towards what it is that you're donating your funds for. We don't have to take salaries out of that money. That comes out of a different fund. So your donation is 100% used, which I think is a plus for everyone. So.
That's a great point. Most people determine how they give based on the overhead cost for donation. And you mentioned that most donations are earmarked do people give monetary donations without specifying where the money should go? If they do, what does the VA, how does the VA handle that?
Well, and quite frankly, we always want to follow the wishes of a donor, but if we had our preference, we would like everyone to donate their money into our all-purpose accounts. And the reason for that is in an all-purpose account, you can use it for many, many things. If you donate, for example, to the Women's Veterans Program, we can only use that money for women's veterans. But if you give it to the all-purpose fund, then we can use it for whatever the greatest need is at the time.
Okay.
Might not be women's veterans that we really need. It might be, the homeless veteran program. So that would be where we would steer people that say, I just want to make a donation. You put it to the best use that you can.
Okay. And then, of course, we can't forget in-kind donations. I've seen the office flood with in-kind donations at certain times of the year mainly, but can you tell us about that in-kind donation program?
Sure. And a lot of
Or the
people are
opportunities.
quite generous. We do take clothing, gently used clothing, at a few of our facilities, and we do have inpatients that come to us and they have one pair of clothes and they don't have any others, so we're able to help in that respect. We have a very active comfort item program, and that is the basic necessities that people use every day, your toothpaste and toothbrush and shampoo and body wash, etc. We do on a weekly basis give those items out to our veterans as needed, because we have so many veterans that are with us for longer than an acute care type of a stay. They're with us for months. That's a necessity that they really need. So that would be another example. And I could go on with from socks to books to word puzzles to just donations of snacks for activities, all in-kind types of donations that we're most grateful for.
And I know, like I said, sometimes the office is flooded with donations, and you want the donations to be used and go to the right place. So what would you recommend if someone wanted to give? Should they call you first and kind of get a list of needs, or what should someone do if they want to donate an item or items?
And we always have a wish list, okay? And so calling any of our offices, we can send that information out, and that really is the best thing. A lot of generous hearts, particularly during the month of December, which we greatly appreciate, but I wish all the generous hearts could funnel into February, March, April, May, into the summertime, because there are veterans that need things all year around. And you're right about the fact that sometimes in December you're like tripping over. We have so many donations, so it's great for groups to give during the December holidays. But it would be really wonderful if groups could maybe spread a little bit of that cheer into other months throughout the year.
So if someone is interested in donating their time, their money, or just interested in volunteer opportunities with the VA, what are the next steps? How should they contact you?
Well, we have 3 offices, and each of those offices are staffed. So I think probably the easiest thing for here is to just say, if you call 410-642-1136, that goes directly to me, and then I can steer anyone to which facility that they would like to perhaps find out about. The other thing is, if you go on to our webpage, we have a volunteer link, and you can go in and see about what types of volunteer support we're looking for, and find out a little bit about our volunteer program. And we're always happy to answer the questions. So don't feel like you shouldn't call us or you shouldn't email us, or we're happy to walk you down the path.
Yeah, you have a great staff of voluntary service specialists ready to answer those questions. And you have been leading them, or voluntary services, for the VA Maryland healthcare system for almost 12 years.
I have.
And so how would you say you've seen the volunteer or volunteering or the voluntary service area change over the last decade?
Well, I will say that I've seen a consistent drop in the number of individual volunteers, and I just think that's because people are so busy and people are involved in so many things. But with that, I've seen a good number of group volunteer support. Groups that want to come in and do an activity, an event. They want to, they want to make those in-kind donations. They want to make a monetary donation. So that's been a really good thing. The other statistic for us that I've seen over the years is, although we've seen a drop in the actual number of volunteers committing to a regular type of a schedule, our hours of volunteer service have not been affected that greatly, which means a smaller number of people are doing more volunteer time. And that's another thing that seems to be happening within our organization. The other thing is that I see a lot of individuals that want to do more of a short-term type of a volunteer experience. And we're willing to work with most people. Our actual number of hours that we ask people to commit to is to 100 hours. But we're not asking you to do 100 hours in 3 months. We're asking you to say that you'll stick with us for about 100 hours. So whether you can do 2 hours a week or more, that's fine. We're just looking for people that want to give back to our veteran patients.
Yeah. And the commitment is important. The employees I know and the patients rely on the volunteers. So when you can get a committed volunteer, it makes so much difference. It makes such a difference in getting work done and treating the veterans.
That's true.
So is there anything else you'd like to add about the voluntary service program, or put another word out there for volunteers?
Well, I think we have a great volunteer program. We're certainly very grateful to all of our volunteers. Again, whether they do 2 hours a week or 15 hours a week, we're grateful for all of the service that people are able to give to us. And I've said this before, I'll say it again because it's so true. They say the number one reason that people don't volunteer is because they've never been asked. And so as the program manager for voluntary services within the VA Maryland healthcare system, I am asking you, please come and volunteer with us. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to give back to our veterans, and it also is just a wonderful way to feel good about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, Susan. I hope you've inspired some people to consider volunteering, donating, giving their time to our nation's veterans. So thank you again for joining us. Well, that wraps up today's show. But if you have questions about today's topic or have suggestions for future topics, please call us at 1-800-949-1003, extension 5407, or you can visit our webpage at maryland.va.gov or follow us on Facebook or on Twitter. And remember, if you are a veteran or you know a veteran who is not using the VA Maryland healthcare system, you can contact us on our website at maryland.va.gov, come into one of our medical centers, or give us a call at 1-800-463-6295, extension 7324. We look forward to seeing you again and to serving you. Please join us next time.
Applying for the VA healthcare system is one of the best things you can do for your health and well-being.
A lot of veterans, for some reason, don't realize that they are eligible for VA healthcare benefits.
So we always encourage the veteran to call because each veteran is enrolled on a case-by-case basis.
Once I obtained the knowledge that I could enroll, I enrolled, and it's been a great decision ever since.
A veteran can learn more about eligibility for VA and health care at 1-800-463-6295, extension 7324.